Peace. Good morning, family. How you doing? It's Mr. R2 here at Consistency is Currency. Your morning podcast of choice. Today is Monday, November the 14th. Payday to some. Friday was payday to others. Um, well, some really military. I'm just saying. Um, Payday to some, but I definitely appreciate you and definitely thank you for being here at this platform to where we use conversation, dialogue to create an interaction between the listener and the sender and the receiver. Just like I don't know why that music went away, but I'm gonna bring it back. Hopefully, it brings back something that is okay. Not like this sound. I knew it was gonna bring me something that is weird that I don't like, but it's okay. We're gonna bring it to it, or we're gonna do it a cappella today. Whichever one that happens. Um, yeah, we're gonna talk about the power of resistance. Kind of like this music, so we might keep it here. We're gonna be talking and communicating about the power of resistance. So, however your weekend was, I pray your weekend was beautiful. But if not, today is Monday, a day that you can change something with how your weekend went because you can make it better for you. Peace. Good morning, Miss Queenie. Early where you are, but good morning to you nonetheless. So we definitely appreciate you for being here, Miss Queenie. I thank you like always. We always start in a spirit of gratitude. We always start with the spirit of appreciation. I like this music a little bit better. We always start in a spirit of appreciation because not everybody feels appreciated. Not everybody get that appreciation throughout the day, but you know you're going to always come and you're going to get it here first. So if I set the tone for your day, then I pray the rest of your day be just as strong as what is presented to you in the morning. All right, so whatever you're going through, whatever you have been talking about, whatever you have been communicating about yourself in this moment is the beginning of the rest of your day. So let's go ahead and tap into it. Good morning from LinkedIn, whoever it is, because it just says LinkedIn user. Again, I extend my gratitude and my appreciation to you as well. So good morning to you, and I pray the rest of your day is as beautiful as your morning has started. Because we all, if I can see you, you can see me, we all started with the spirit of life. So let's reciprocate that life and give life to others. Let's reciprocate that life and give life to those who need exactly what we have right now, which is life within itself. All right, so again today we're going to be talking about the power of resistance. And I'm going to tell you where this came from. So I've been listening, to the whole Kyrie and Kanye thing, but really more so listening to Kyrie. He had a very powerful interview, and no matter what they were pushing on him, no matter how many times they switched the question around and inverted the question, but all of it tried to stem into head him into the same direction to where, Kyrie, what do you think about this? Or Kyrie, have you apologized yet? Or Kyrie, have you blah, 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 blah. And one thing that man stood on is his resistance. He just wanted to be heard and to communicate about his history and about his lineage and about where he came from. And he says, stand and keep the same energy when we're talking about my people. Keep the same energy when we're talking about the history of my people. Keep the same energy when we're communicating about a body of people that have suffered for years. Let's keep that same energy. So that's kind of like where this came from, the power of resistance, because there's power in resistance. So let's go ahead and tap into it. But before we tap into it, like always, take this live and share it in a Facebook group or share it on your timeline, whichever one you feel that those who need to hear about the power of resistance, whichever platform you feel is beneficial. So go ahead and take that, share it. Once you finish sharing it, put the word done. Now let's go ahead and jump into today's conversation about the power of resistance. All right, like you already know, you're going to get definitions of words, etymology. There's no etymology today, but you're going to get that word regardless of what we're going to be talking about. Let me turn that down just a little bit. All right. The power of resistance. The very first definition of resistance, it says the refusal to accept or comply with something, or the attempt to prevent something by action or argument. Of course, definitely we're not talking about the argument, because that's not what this platform is about. That's not the conversation that we're having. So the inversion on this is red over white. Again, like always, if I say red over white, you're paying attention to the words that are in red. If I say white over red, you're paying attention to the words that are in white. And this is an interactive platform. So if I say red over white and the red that you're paying attention to, put in the comment how you see it. Or if you feel it's white over red, say that and then put in a description why you see that the definition should be white over red. So let's go into it. Again, the refusal to accept or comply with something, the attempt to prevent something by action or argument. And for me, it's white over red. The refusal to accept or to prevent something by action. So how you see that? The refusal to accept, if you see it white over red, say that. The refusal to accept or to prevent something by action. And to me, I see that like I don't have to accept failure. So I refuse to accept failure. So therefore, I am going to do what I know that I need to do to learn. I'm going to do what I know that I need to do to change the condition by preventing those things by action. So I don't have to accept failure. I can refuse to accept it, or I can refuse my fears by not allowing my fears to take over what I do. So I can prevent those things by action, by working through my fears, or working through those moments to where I feel that I need to do a little bit more. Because a lot of times we prevent ourselves from being great by not actually doing the work. Because I know for me, like right now, I'm still going over my certification. It's not 1 December yet. I'm still going over my certification. And I had to feel convicted in not studying, or I had to feel convicted in not putting forth or maximizing my effort. And I didn't accept that I didn't do it by 1 November. And it honestly, it hurt me that I didn't do it. So if I'm ever going to complete or to study or to take that certification in December, I had to prevent myself from accepting failure. And in order for me to no longer accept failure, I have to prevent it by doing action. I had to study. I had to show myself approval. I had to sit myself down in my space and say, you are going to study and you're going to take these practice exams. Now, I'm not going to lie. I failed 2 practice exams, but it allowed you to retake. And I passed it on the retake. But I had to prevent it by action. I had to refuse to accept my failures, and I had to prevent it by action. So I had to resist the complaints. I had to resist the complacency. I had to resist the mediocrity, because I knew that I wanted something more for myself, and I had to prevent myself from not doing it by action. So the second definition is the force that acts to stop the progress of something or make it slower. And the inversion is white over red, the force that acts to progress. Don't you know when you begin to resist things, there is a force that acts with progress? Again, like I said, because I felt convicted by not completing the task by 1 November, I felt convicted by not doing that thing that I know that I can do. I had to resist in order to force the act of progress. Like, what do you need to resist today? Whether it is the resisting of eating certain things in order for you to show progress, or standing firm on your workout plan, whatever it is a force that acts to progress. Your resistance is going to force you into progress. Like, what's that force? Is it legacy? If it's legacy, it's going to force you to act to progress. Resisting of being broke is going to force you to act to progress. Because there has to be some sort of energy that's behind it. There has to be an act that has to be coupled with the force in order for it to what? Act to progress. I know I'm stepping on some toes today. It's okay. Put your steel-toed shoes on. So if I'm hurting you today, maybe you need to kick yourself with the steel-toe, boo. Because again, the resistance is a force that acts to progress. Maybe you're not progressing because you're not resisting that thing that you know that you need to resist. Maybe some of the things are happening to you because you have yet to acknowledge that there has to be some sort of refusal or something that you don't know, you no longer have to accept in order for you to prevent that thing. You have to prevent it by action. And that action is a force that acts to progress. I'm just taking two definitions and blending it together to allow you to see there is power in resistance. There is power in the future of you, but sometimes the future you need to resist what's happening in the present if the future is ever going to take place for you. I'm just giving you definitions and I'm inverting it and I'm giving it to you in something that is a lot more relevant to you right now. And the next definition of resistance is the act or power of resisting, opposing. And the inversion on this, of course, is red over white. Well, I can't say of course. I mean, you might see opposing. That might be your how you see it. If that is, put why you see it as opposing. My inversion is red over white. The act or power of resisting. There is power in resistance. There really is, because that's where change takes place. Because if I resist this temptation, and the power of the resistance is going to actually allow this change to take place. Because we can't talk about healing without having some sort of resistance, or without having some sort of act. Like, you have to act upon the actualization that healing needs to take place in order for it to happen. There has to be an act, whether it is an act of the mind, or is the act of actually stepping out, or the act of apologizing, or the act of listening. Whatever it is, there has to be some sort of power of resistance. Like, I refuse to not heal, so I am more open now to the act of listening so I can learn how you feel. I'm just giving you definitions in a much more relevant term. Because a lot of times we look at the word resistance as a bad thing. But the power of resistance may just be what you need in order for you to make tomorrow come to pass, by resisting with what need to be resisted today, by creating a much more relevant way of changing by resisting what needs to change right now, or what acts that need to take place right now. The power of resistance is not bad, especially when it's something that you need to do, or something that you need to say, or the act that need to take place by you. You can't point your finger and say you need to resist if you can't even resist by closing your mouth. Sometimes the best resistance is closing your mouth. Like, can you resist not saying something? You don't always have to have the last word. Can you resist not opening your mouth? Can you resist not going to the club every weekend? Can you resist staying home? Can you resist allowing yourself to be free? Can you resist allowing yourself to do the things that you know you need to do? There's power in it. I'm just saying, right? There's power in resistance. And what we're gonna do, peace. Good morning, Miss Myrick. Here we go. All right, so let's go into this deep dive. And once we're done with the deep dive, we're gonna go ahead and step away, because I want you to marinate on it for the rest of the day, however you do it, however you marinate. So the resistance is your inner strength, right? Say inner strength, because resistance is truly inner strength. Because you can't go to the store and buy resist. Now you can go and purchase a resistor, but you can't buy resistance. That's something that's inside of you. That is a level of discipline that's inside of you. That is a level of determination that is inside of you. That is a conversation that you have that is inside of you, and that conversation has to be reflected based off of how you think and based off of how you feel. The resistance is your inner strength. And what will you do when you put all of it on the line? Like, what will you do when it's all on the line? Like, people talk about going to the next level, but they can't even resist on the level that they on. They have no discipline in where they're at. They have no determination in where they at, but they talk about going to the next level. You can't get to the next level if you haven't completed where you are right now. Yeah, that may be hard for you to listen to, but it's not. To me, it's not being hard for you to listen to. It's looking at you in the face and saying that I know I want the next level, but I haven't even walked the walk that I need to in my current steps that I'm taking. So stop talking about the next level. If you have, it's like a video game. You can't get to the next level until you pass where you are right now. You haven't even passed a common test of resistance, because you still got to have the last word. You still have to have the reoccurring conversation. So how can you get to the next level if you haven't completed the task of today? Because there is no coming out if there is no will to go through. A lot of times people say, I'm going through something. Like, no, you still in it. You didn't go through it yet. You're still in it. But your will is your resistance. But what are you willing to resist to go through it? Your will is your resistance, but what are you willing to resist to go through it? Is it resisting watching movies? Is it resisting being in certain settings that you know you're not supposed to be in? Is it resisting being around certain people that you know that don't pour into you? Is it resisting being around certain people that you know that you're not supposed to be around? Because I know for me personally, I can't be around certain people. It's not any separation between the person as an individual. I just know psychologically and spiritually, I'm only supposed to be around certain people because there's energy that I know that I need to absorb, and there's some energy that I don't know that I shouldn't be around. That's just me knowing me. That's my power of resisting. Like, I can't be around that person. They don't feed my spirit. They don't feed into what I do. So therefore, I know the power of my resistance from not being around certain energy. And I'm sure that's the same thing. Hopefully, that's the same thing for you too. So what your will your will is your resistance so what are you willing to resist to go through it? Like, what have you refused to accept? That's a question that can only be answered by you. Like, what have you refused to accept in order for you to comply with what is next for you? Like, do you refuse to accept defeat? Do you refuse to accept mediocrity? Do you refuse to accept indecisiveness? Because don't you know that one of the best things that you can do for yourself is to make a decision? Like, that's one of the strongest things that you can ever do is make a decision. Like, what do I choose today? Because again, my choices today is going to possibly be detrimental to what I'm going to do tomorrow and to what I'm going to see tomorrow. Because the best thing that you can ever do for yourself is to make a decision. That's why I say choose ye this day. That is a decision that you have to make. Like, that's a today's decision. But put yourself in a position to where you can't retreat. Because sometimes there are some choices that you're going to have to cut off. Like, you know what? That's not my choice. My choice is this, and I choose this. I can't retreat from creating my legacy because I refuse for my grandchildren or great grandchildren or whoever comes after me to not be great. So I choose today. I don't choose to retreat, because the things that you choose to retreat from, don't you know it's going to turn around and hit somebody else in your lineage? It's going to fall on somebody. So I choose not to retreat. So put yourself in a position to where the only option that you have is to win. Like, I don't have to fail, but I do have to make a choice. I do have to make a valid effort. I do have to take action. Because the day that you develop a resistance towards swimming is the day that you start drowning. I'm going to say that again. It's kind of wordplay like we did last week. The day that you develop a resistance towards swimming is the day that you start drowning. I can even flip that. The day that you develop a resistance towards drowning is the day that you start swimming. Like, I want to swim. I want to survive. I don't want to drown in my own iniquities. I don't want to drown in my own sorrows. I don't want to drown in my own fears. I don't want to drown in listening to what everybody's saying. I want to swim. I want to ascend. I want to go up. I want to get to the next level. So I refuse to develop the action of drowning. So I'm going to swim. I don't have to go down with everybody else, because I'm going to forward myself the opportunity to heal. I'm going to forward myself the opportunity to live. I'm going to forward myself the opportunity opportunity to speak life into my own situation. So I refuse to drown. I only choose to live. I only choose to swim. And that's when you begin the true process of swimming, when you refuse to do certain things. So the power of resistance is a choice. The power of resistance is a choice. It really is. But what do you choose to do with it? Yeah, you can make more money when you exercise the power of resistance. You can heal a lot more when you exercise the power of resistance. You can listen more when you exercise the power of resistance. You can hear more when you exercise the power of resistance. You can learn more when you exercise the power of resistance. You can change when you exercise the power of resistance. I think that may be the hardest part. When you hear the word resistance and you automatically begin to push yourself away from it, learn from what you need to resist, because it is a choice. So choose what needs to be resisted. Then I guarantee you the actions that you take and the life that you live is going to have a different outcome. Because the day you choose mediocrity is the day that you resist the future you from being successful, the future you from making it. It's okay to resist some things. That may be the hard choice for you to make. Like, what do I choose to resist? Do I choose to resist social media for a week? Do I choose to resist watching TV today in order for me to read, in order for me, like, what do you choose to resist? It's not a bad thing. That can be something that is beneficial. Again, that is a decision that you make. All right. Y'all be blessed. And I'll see you tomorrow. And before I leave, what I want to learn from you is, what were your takeaways in the power of resistance? It doesn't hurt to resist. It can actually help. But what do you choose to resist? Quinny said, resist going back into your past. Come into the future you. 100%. Because a lot of times the past, where we came from, can't live in our present reality. I'm going to say it again. The past cannot live in the present reality because there should have been some sort of growth that have taken place, or some sort of growth that you came out of. You can't say that you've gone through something and still be in it. Either you have gone through it or you're still in it. Because if you've gone through it, tell me how you got out, because that might be what I need in order for me to prevent myself from being in that situation that you found yourself in. That's you resisting. All right, I'm gonna leave that alone. All right, man, I'll see you tomorrow here at Consistency is Currency, your morning podcast of choice. Make sure y'all subscribe. Subscribe to us on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, Anchor, on Podbean, on all those platforms. Just make sure you subscribe, where you can tap in to where you don't have to worry about watching my face here on LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, but you can also listen to it as you travel throughout the day. just go ahead and hit the search engine on any of those podcast distribution. Type in "Consistency is Currency." You'll see my face, and go ahead and click in and subscribe and just listen to it throughout the day. This is episode 231, so you're missing out on 230 other episodes that you can tap into. I'm just saying. But y'all be blessed. And remember, Mr. R2 here at Consistency is Currency, your morning podcast of choice. Peace.